Hello, this is Rich with MisoBIM. This tutorial topic is room tags. This course is considered beginner level. In this topic, you will learn about rooms and room tags, boundaries, separation lines, and color coding. Tags are annotation objects for identifying elements in a drawing, and all categories in the family library have tags. The properties associated with a tag can display in schedules. Certain tags automatically load with the default Revit template, while others have to be loaded in by the user. You can make your own tags in the family editor. Revit views rooms and room tags as separate but related components. A room is a subdivision of space within a building model, bounded by elements such as walls, ceilings, floors, and roofs. While room tags are annotation elements that can be added and displayed in plan and section views. They usually display values for related parameters such as room number, room name, computed area, and volume. To use room tags in Revit, rooms have to be created first. While creating or placing rooms in spaces, you can place room tags as well. We can place a room in a bounded space such as the hotel bedroom and then add a room tag in the space. There are generally two options for placing rooms in a project. It can be done manually or placed automatically. To place rooms in all enclosed spaces on a level automatically, click on the Architecture tab, go to the Room and Area, and click on Room. From there, you can click Place Rooms Automatically. This then tells you that how many rooms have been created automatically. And you can see here that all of these rooms have been created. To place rooms manually in a space, click on the Architecture tab, go to the Room and Area panel again, and select Room. To display a room tag with the room, make sure that Tag on Placement is selected under Modify Place Room and Tag. You can see here as we move the room around, the tag is with it. If we check this box or uncheck this, and it's not a tag on placement, it is just the room. For now, we'll click on Tag on Placement. Notice when you bring in the rooms that it expands and assumes the boundaries of the space. Revit may not place a room in a very small space. After placing a room in its tag, which we will place a few of these, the room name can be changed by clicking on the room name text and changing the highlighted name. So we'll change this to Living. Bed. Bath. And closet. Rooms can also be placed in open spaces, and the space could then be defined later. You'll notice here when we do place an open room that you get a warning here that it's not properly enclosed. In situations where the Tag on Placement option is not used when creating rooms, room tags can still be added or placed into spaces. One way to do this is to use the Tag All Not Tagged tool to tag all untagged rooms in a view. So first, to show this, I'm going to delete two of the tags. We'll get a warning, but we'll ignore that. And then the tool for Tag All Not Tagged can be accessed from the Annotation tab. At the Tag panel, click on the Tag All or Tag by category. Here we're going to do the Tag All under Annotation and Tag. We're going to select Room Tags, click OK, and our room tags come back. Basically, Tag All Not Tagged will cover any item that you select that is not tagged yet in the view. Now let me undo this. To manually place a room tag in the plan, click on the Architecture tab, go to the Room and room and area and click on tag room and then tag your rooms manually. Again, I'll add here, you can see here that the tag all not tag actually is in this section under tag room as well. When placing the tags, you'll also see that there are some options here for the orientation of the tag, horizontal, vertical, and also if the tag would have a leader added to it. As room tags are placed, they also align with existing tags. And you can see that they'll do different orientations, whether it's centered, top, bottom, left, right. And that is indicated by the dashed lines that you see, the dashed blue lines that you see within the tags when you move them around. To modify instant properties for a tag, select a tag and use the Properties palette to change the appropriate parameters. So for example here, if we wanted to change an instance where I go from horizontal to vertical, I can do that in the Properties, or under Edit Type, there are other numbers in terms of, or other properties. So for example, if I wanted this room tag to show the area, under the Properties I can check the box for area. Revit uses room boundaries when computing the area, perimeter, and volume of a room. Boundaries enclose and define a space. Walls, ceilings, floors, and roofs are seen as room bounding elements when computing the perimeter, area, and volume of a room. To indicate that, an element should be used to define the boundaries of a room for room area and volume computations. You must specify that the element is room bounding. This feature is usually on by default in the above elements. So for example, if we click on the wall here and we look in their properties, you'll see a box that indicates that the element is room bounding. If you do not want it to be room bounding, you can uncheck the box. So this wall, which is room bounding, if we wanted this to be all one room, we can uncheck it, and the reason why we know this works is we have a warning here that says 2 rooms are in the same enclosed region. By default, Revit doesn't like that and will give you this warning. So to get that to go away, we just check the box simply again, and now they're room bounding. Room separation lines can also be used to further subdivide the space where no room bounding elements exist. Revit updates a room's dimensions automatically whenever you add, move, or delete room bounding elements. To see a room's boundaries in plan and section views, select the room or change the visibility graphic settings for the view to show these boundaries. The Room Separation Line tool is used to add and adjust room boundaries. These lines are room bounding and are useful for designating one or several room spaces within a larger one, such as a dining area within a living room. They are used for such spaces where a wall demarcation between room spaces is not desired and one wants to maintain separate room area computations for the space. Room separation lines are visible in plan views as well as 3D views. To create separation lines at the desired floor plan view, click on the Architecture tab, go to the Room and Area panel, and from the Room drop-down arrow, select Room Separation Line. Then sketch the room separation line, and if the space already contains a room, the room boundaries adjust to the new room separation lines. If the space is without a room, you can add one at a later time. So for example, this living room, if you see here, has approximately 168 square feet. If we go to Architecture, Room and Area, and click on Room Separator, we'll draw a room separation line at this location. And now, if we click on the room, you'll see that now we're at 126 square feet for that. And if we wanted to add another room to this other side, we can click there, have that here. And for example, this room can now be called kitchen. Color coding is a means of graphically illustrating with colors and fill patterns categories of space like rooms and areas. These spaces must be defined in a project in order to use a color scheme. You can create a color scheme by room name, area, occupancy, or department, which can be very useful for programmatic and schematic phases of an interior design project. To color rooms in a floor plan by department, set the department parameter value for each room to the necessary value, and then create a color scheme based on the values of the department parameter. You can then add a color fill legend to the view to identify the department that each color represents. You create a color scheme by selecting the category and specifying the color scheme definitions. To do this, click on the Architecture tab, go to the Room and Area panel, and select Color Schemes from the drop-down arrow. So Architecture, Room and Arrow, Color Schemes. In the Edit Color Scheme dialog, select the category for which to create a color scheme. You can choose from Areas, Gross Building, Areas Rentable, Rooms, Ducts, HVAC zones, pipes, and spaces. You can see that here under the category. Here we will select rooms. In the New Color Scheme dialog, enter a name for the new color scheme and click OK. So we'll enter a name of example. Example scheme. Click OK. The name now displays in the color scheme list. In the scheme definition field, enter a title for the color fill legend. We'll make it example legend. This title displays above the legend when you apply the color scheme to a view. You can show or hide the color fill legend title. From the color list, select the parameter to use as the basis of color scheme. Be sure that values are defined for the parameter you select. So for example, this is all the color scheme legend right now is set by the room names. And you can see all the room name values are listed here and with the accompanying colors. You can add or change parameter values on the properties palette. To color by a specific parameter value or by a range of values, select by value or by range. The by range option is not available for all parameters. When you select by range, the unit's display format appears next to the Edit Format button. So for example, if we wanted the color legend to be related to the area of every room, now we can go to by range, click Edit Format, and we can select rounding. So for example, if we wanted 2 decimal spaces for the area, we can do all those settings here. I'm going to place a color scheme. We're going to go to Annotate, Color Fill Legend. Click this here. You can see here that under this dialog, it's looking for the type of legend. So we are going to be doing a room legend, and the color scheme is example scheme. Click OK. And now we have our colors for each one. If we wanted to edit this, go back up to room and area, color schemes. So for example, if we wanted to change this to the area, go by range, and now it edits to have a different color scheme related to that. You can see here that if we add a few area components or parameter values, click OK, the colors start changing based off of those parameter values. That concludes our beginner course on room tags. Thanks for watching.